Welcome to Center Heist Productions. It is May the 5th. Please hit the likes and subscribe. We would muchly appreciate it. This episode is focusing on picks 23 through 32 as projected by particular scouting agencies. Now, there could be some fluctuations as the Worlds is coming up and stuff like that. We all know that. Okay, we're going to get right into the hot and heavy. We also nail a couple of rumors that we wanted to deal with. Okay, we left off with Quinton Musty, left wing. We're starting there again, and that is somebody who is rumored for the Habs to have they seem to have interest in. This is somebody they think, Grant McKay seems to think this guy has put out some words on this guy, and this guy seems to have a real good upside to him. So with that being said, that's somebody that's attached in Rumorville. Then we're going to go to 24 with this Charlie Strammel, right wing, and of course, don't be surprised with anybody we get that's on offense because it's much needed. So, but he's not rumored in Rumorville. Then we go to 25, which is Mikhail Golyev, and he's a defenseman. I highly think it's unlikely, but you never know because you're deep into the first round at this point. That second round, which we got from Florida, this is the vicinity of the picks. I'm hoping it's Musty we grab, but this is the vicinity of players. So unless he's a right defenseman, and I don't think we will be focused on that so much. We are pretty deep on our defense. Okay, 26. Ethan Gauthier, right wing. This would be an answer to the French movement with a last name like Gauthier. Maybe that's, although I have not heard enough about him, but I mean, he's in the first round. He's got to be half decent. So, as long as we stick to some size with good skill level, smarts, that's what we got to stick to, and not get into tongue, language, color, any of that jazz. Okay, so 27 is Callum Ritchie. It's another centerman, and this again we're looking at a lot of this draft is deep on centers, and there's definitely some rights and lefts as well. So we could use a little help on the left side. So with that, that's another possibility, right? Then we go to 28. Gretchen Sonchin, if I'm saying that right. He's a centerman as well. Haven't heard nothing as well. These guys I haven't heard anything on. Being attached to the Habs, that is. Then we've got Kalen Lind. I've heard this name, left winger. So there might be just a touch of rumorville on this guy. I believe yeah. Anyway, that's that one. And 30 is Nick Lourdes, another left winger. So again, here we go. It's going to count on a lot of things here. We're in that area. Then we go to 31, which is Maxim Stabak, another defenseman. So again, I don't see it unless there's a right defenseman in there. Okay, 32 is Felix Nilsson, a centerman from Sweden. And these Swedes tend to get some high tote. So anyway, with that being said, that is your first round of the NHL draft for 2023. There could be fluctuations in it, and don't forget, you've got 1 to 2 goalies that are quite eligible for the first round as well. Even though they're in the second, they would be a proper pick for a team because they're technically, from what is being worded, they are technically first rounders in any other year. So that being said, that's your first round. And it's going to be interesting, and a lot happens depending where you fall in the draft. Who drafts before you can change the whole outlook of who you're looking at. So that's why the scouting staff has a big job in knowing who the next guys are to be looking at that they should have already looked at. So that being said, that is we are finished with that section, we will come up with a fourth part, and it's going to be a short little thing, I hope. I keep saying short ones, and I can't seem to get them under the 20-minute marks. 15 to 20 minutes seems to be my shortest. Anyhow, with that being said, we will do one just to name all the players from top to bottom in that first round that have been associated with the Habs. That rumorville, mind you, media. So, with that being said, again, let's look forward because the 8th is not, it's the 5th, 3 days away from the, uh, the lotto draft. You know, who's going to win that positioning. So, that's quite exciting, and I might go live that day just for that moment. So, we shall see what happens, and all the best for our team. We're in a good position. And now we're going to address hitting Rumorville. Two rumors, maybe actually three. Well, we've already talked about Pierre Luc Dubois. And you'll notice my mic's not here. I just taped this, and for some reason it didn't come up on my software, so I'm going without the mic this time. I was just, it takes too much to maneuver it. I went into a different room and I just put it back, didn't realize it didn't take it. So, anyway, now we're going to talk about the rumorville. We already put the Pierre Luc Dubois on where this is, rumors are coming from. And I'm tired of hearing it because it's coming from a lot of small YouTubers as well. Stop putting your spin on things. You can say you like it, but stop trying to think that there's a push into the eye that it's a big movement for it. So now the latest one I've heard on a couple of channels is there's being pushed the idea of Arbor Jackeye being the guy that's going to go. And I sure hope that it's incorrect information because it angers me when I hear this because this is a mistake if we get rid of Arbor. This is a huge mistake. This is the type of player we've been waiting for about 20 years. He's a good hockey player, but he brings that tenacity and that presence and nastiness that we needed. Our players have been pushed around for a long time. We get rid of him, we're right back to square one. Where are you going to gain the respect for your players again? You know, like who's going to do that job? They don't come easy. So, and he's a good hockey player at that. So to me, you leave him there. He's a guaranteed third pairing, and he could move up to the second pairing. You never know, right? In the situation we're in. So I sure hope. I know there's attachment I've been hearing on one particular channel that just came up with a video on it. Again, I'm tired of people are pushing their own spin-offs because they want the French guys, and it always seems to be people that have a French connection that are really amplifying things, and it's connected to Arbor for Lafreniere. And I really hope it's wrong. I know Lafreniere wouldn't be a bad addition, but for me, I'll stick to the point where I think the defensemen that are in our system playing in Montreal should be left alone. I think there's only one guy that you could tempt, and that's Barron, but he plays the right side. And like somebody brought up to me that there's a lot of resemblances to Charlie McAvoy early in his years. So if that's, if that can change, that he gets some grittiness to him, fine. And he's on the right side, so you got to give him a little leeway. That being said, though, he, to me, out of all the defensemen, out of the kids, is the weakest link due to not having the physicality. So I would not touch uh, Arbor Jack. I mean, Gooley's definitely number one, so we're not even putting him in the conversation. And I wouldn't touch Harris. Harris is a good, solid number two, like number two pairing. I'm not saying 1-2 because Gooley hasn't gotten his final partner of the future. He'll probably be with Matheson a lot next year. But with that being said, Arbor and Harris are too good to get rid of, and I'd leave it alone. If you want to get rid of a defenseman because we are deep on Lane Hudson's the perfect candidate. I'm sorry, there's too many unknowns, and great that he's getting the points at that level. I think he will carry the value that you can utilize that, and maybe you throw in Lane Hudson, and maybe you get lucky enough to throw Hoffman in there with him, something like that, right? A package. That's what I would do. That would be my odd man out because you got Struble and you got Mayu who will be coming in, and I hope those two play in Laval for a full season. Then the following year, not next year, but the following year, they come up to the lineup. But I got a feeling we're going to see glimpses of Struble. But with that saying, for me, it's a lot of people aren't going to agree, but I'll tell you right now, Hudson is not Makar. He's a good hockey player, but he's going to get tossed around. And what he can do in the NHL is going to be a lot less than what he's doing where he's at. So if you got to get unload a little bit on the left side defense, then that's my candidate. Leave Arbor, Jack Eye. We've been waiting for that. We've been waiting for a type like Dooley. And Harris is just a good, solid fill in that is perfect. Doesn't need all the clout. And a very happy go lucky guy. So, with that being said, I had to put that to rest because it's coming from a lot of people who are in the French movement that seem to be, again, they'll just keep driving down the Pierre Luc Dubois trade and the Alexei Lafreniere trade because they're Frenchmen. Get over yourselves. This is not about your language, your color of skin. This is about your talent level and what you've got in your system. Understand what hockey actually is. It has nothing to do with politics. Okay? So, little shot to think about. That being said, Jeff Gordon was another rumor early on that I forgot to address him a couple of videos ago. He addressed it himself very well. But it came from Nick Kyprios, and I love Nick Kyprios because it's usually what comes out of Nick's mouth is usually pretty accurate, actually. However, the reporter that brought that story forward blew it out of context. It wasn't exactly what Nick Kyprios was saying. If you listened fully, it made more sense. So he didn't say he was going. But let's be frank. Jeff Gordon's not going anywhere, and he clarified that. And he's not. He's under contract. Let's use our brain cells. So, Rumorville. Reporters love it. Creating rumors, right? Remember, he's not French, so they're gonna throw that out there here and there, every chance they get. So anyway, he'll be here 5 years. Do I think at the end of his contract, he probably will go because he seems to be the type of guy that likes to build hockey teams, likes the challenge, and I think at that point Hughes will be well garnered from his coattails. And probably be ready to lead the team. But I would rather see Gordon stay another 5, 10 years because I love this guy's hockey mind, his expertise. That's why Bob Gainey uh, mentioned him. And we see his track record in Boston. We see his track record in New York, and they got great systems because of him. Great players that were put in, and that's what we can expect. And we can already see some of the players that we're picking up. Things are going well. I mean, that Doc trade was phenomenal, and then we did some good drafting. And now, we can question, the Slavkovsky thing. I don't think you question it. I think yes, there were some bad decisions to keeping him in Montreal, and I hope next year he plays a full season in Laval. Stop protecting him. Let him learn. The only way he's going to learn is to deal with the hitting that goes on in North American hockey. So that's my spin on that, and I'm really pumped. And let's pray to God that Connor Bedard is in the mix for us. Maybe we'll get fortunate enough, blessed enough, luck, whatever you want to call it, that we win the lotto. Wouldn't that be nice? But as long as the big thing for me is I don't want to see us drop back to seventh. And we already see the trouble we're in with Florida doing so well against the Leafs. And Leafs fans, you did well getting Tampa. Tampa's an old squad. They would have beat you had they been healthy, but it would have won 7 games, no doubt in my mind. However, they were not healthy, and I mentioned that to somebody when it was right before Game 6, and I just said, all seriousness, I said, if Tampa's not healthy, I think Toronto puts them up, and Toronto did. I mean, Hedman's just another version of he's at the stage of where Gallagher is, it seems. And where the heck was Stamkos? Where was Braden Point? Where was Kucherov? These three were nowhere. They're getting old, and they're now. Jelena has to start thinking about it. It's time to probably pack it in. They had their run. Nothing to hang their heads. Still a threat. Nothing to hang their heads low about. They're a good team, but they're old. It's time for some movement happen and the new direction for that team. There's no doubt about it. Let's see what Jelena can actually do, because that was all Stevie Y's work. So let's be quite frank on that. And Vasilevsky definitely wasn't himself. He played 2 games that he was solid. The rest of the series, He wasn't Vasilevsky. I think those guys played too much hockey myself. And then you had Florida put in Boston. Who would have thought? I picked New York to win the Stanley Cup. They get beat out by a young, fast Jersey team. And that's something I don't think they were expecting because they were the fast team going up against Tampa last year. So they ran into somebody who was faster than them. And I don't think they had the proper answers. Lindy Ruff's a smart guy, and when he went with that young goaltender instead of Vasevchek, it was a good move. He went with the other kid, and that kid was stood on his head, and he was able to outduel Shesterkin. Good coaching move. Lindy Ruff's a class act. Anybody calling for his head is retarded. So that being said, we got an exciting playoff plan. The Avalanche are gone. Who would have thought? So really, this is a year. If Toronto doesn't win the Stanley Cup, they should be shocked. Edmonton is falling in that book now too, from the west side, because you ain't got the Avalanche in front of you, and really they are the strongest team over there. They're gonna have to watch out for the Knights, no doubt about it, because the Knights are a good, solid veteran team, and who knows who wins that series. I mean, I'm projecting Edmonton, but I wouldn't count the Knights out. And who would have thought that Florida would be beating Toronto 2 games? Although Toronto, don't get panicky. You outplayed Florida last night, even though you lost. That was Bobrovsky that won that game. And Kachuk is a huge factor. There's no doubt that that's the heart of that team. So, with that being said, it's going to be an interesting playoff. But I mean, this is the time that, no doubt, Toronto and Edmonton need to pounce on. And if they don't, there's something wrong with them. And especially Toronto is probably even a little more juice to them, a little bound. Although that back end still doesn't impress me, and I'm still not sold on Samsonov as a starter either. But anyway, we'll see what happens. I pray to God because I mean, this Florida pick is dropping, like getting higher up, and this is what we were worried about as Habs fans. But what do you do as a Habs fan? Do you want the Leafs to beat them so you get a better pick, or do you run into a situation most Habs fans despise Toronto that much that they'd rather see Toronto lose. So you got that type of thing. Myself, I kind of just say let it fall where it falls. I don't really know how to feel about that one. All I know is Florida's doing one heck of a job. But that being said, that's the end of this episode. And I'm going to make a fourth with all the names that were attached to the Habs. Then we're going to go into, I don't know if I'll do Tankathon or not. I might try it. I don't think so. But I am debating on going on live on the 8th for that lotto draft, the draft lottery. I am debating that, doing a live episode. So we will see from there. That's something I have to think about because I'm also debating on bringing 2 more channels to this. But I'm trying to just focus on this and learn from it. Anyway, that being said, that's the end of the news this week. I mean, like I said, last night you got Dallas tying up the series. Toronto down 2 games to Florida. My word, what is going on? And the Canes still look good to be able to deal. I think that's just the experience. Well-coached team with Brindamore. Other than that, who else is there to talk about? That's pretty much it. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting thing to see. And the Knights, of course, took the lead on Edmonton, which, again, that series could go either way. Experience versus who has the scoring potency. So, that being said, that's the end of our video. We will see you on the next one. Thank you for following. Please hit the likes and the subscribes. Tell your friends all about it. And I thank all my little Center Heisians. Heisomaniacs. Sorry. And we hope to make that crowd a big crowd at some point. And again, we'll go from there. So, do that. And where does the puck drop first? At Center Heis. Right here. See you next episode. God bless.